Hello and welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm Zach By, and as always, sitting down with the head coach from the University of Albany's football team, Bob Ford. And Coach, let's hop right into it. This past week, your home opener in your season, or excuse me, your CAA opener. Unfortunately, a tough overtime loss to Rhode Island. What are some of your takeaways?
Well, I was impressed with how physical University of Rhode Island was. Their smallest lineman was 6'4". I think they averaged about 6'5", and they're all in the 300-pound category. So a very, very big physical offensive line. I thought our defense played very, very well. We gave up 2 field goals in the first half, and then a touch in the second half on a ball that we turned over in the kicking game. So I think the defense played very well. I think the offense at one point was really non-existent, and especially in the first half. We struggled to move the ball on a consistent basis. We didn't throw it very well. I think we were 5 for 15 in the first half throwing the ball. And then the second half, after we had spotted them 13, we came back and got ourselves into the ball game. A couple of things that hurt. We turned the ball over 3 times, and they turned it over none. We didn't get an interception or a fumble recovery. And statistics say that that team will win the 91% of the time. Well, so we can't turn it over 3 times and not get any takeaways. The second thing, I think our kicking game contributed to the loss. We had 9 punts. They punted 9 times. We didn't catch 1 punt. And the second thing is we had a little bit of problem with the field goal blocking protection, and hopefully we get all those things squared away.
Well, Coach, you talk about the offense and maybe just the lack of overall rhythm, and you mentioned the 5 for 15 from your quarterback, Fiacchi. Is there something that you attribute that to, maybe the big crowd and the amount of people there and the pressure of the situation?
I think there were a lot of distractions going into the ball game. I said to the squad Sunday, the week before the game, there will be no distractions in Kingston, Rhode Island, but there'll be a lot of them in Albany, New York. You know, every time we went down to practice, the Jumbotron was on. We finally got, signed for the stadium on Wednesday, practiced in there Thursday, and then Friday. So, all the hoopla about the new stadium and then the CAA opener and the fact that, a lot of parents were going to be there. And as it turned out, it was a great crowd and a great night for a ball game.
Coach, you talk about some of the deficiencies. Well, how much of these things are correctable moving forward for the rest of the season?
Well, that will be interesting to see because I still think we've got a good nucleus of football players and we've got some depth and we've stayed relatively healthy. So I think our coaching staff does a good job of teaching, and I think we do a pretty good job of motivating overall. I think the squad always needs to be picked up after a tough loss. I think that's one of the great challenges in coaching, bringing them back down to earth after a tough loss and bringing them back down to earth after a great win. This was a tough loss. I went into overtime. We had numerous opportunities to win the ball game.
I'm sorry, Coach. You said talking to your team to maybe bring them back up to earth. Is there something particular that you told your squad?
Well, no, I told them that we're sitting here at this point, 1-2, and I thought as we looked at the schedule, the easiest part of our football schedule was going to occur in the first 4 games of the year, and after that, we're going to get into the middle of some of those CAA teams, and it'll be a rough stretch.
Well, the good news is that you do have a game this Saturday, and you have an opportunity to redeem yourself, get back to 500 against a Central Connecticut team. Talk about maybe some advantages or disadvantages that team presents.
Well, they're 0-3, and as Rhode Island was 0-3 coming into the ball game as well, I think we've had some classic battles with Central Connecticut through the years. Great football games. We've won quite a few, but they've beaten us on occasions. They're well coached. I don't think they've got quite the outstanding kid that they had a few years ago, where they would have a great tailback or a great receiver. I don't think they've got anybody quite in that category, but they're a football team that plays hard. They were well up on Lehigh. Lehigh came from behind and beat them in overtime. They lost to a pretty good Holy Cross team, and then of course they went down and played James Madison in our conference, and held them pretty well at halftime, and then James Madison pulled away on them. So I think we've just got to get all facets going. The first two ball games, we moved the ball very well. I think we averaged 30 points a game in those two ball games. Well, then all of a sudden we have no points at halftime. But we've got the capability of moving the ball. I think we still have a lot of firepower, and our offensive line is relatively young but coming along. Brian Parker's back as a tight end, which gives us a little added firepower. Ryan knows he's got a big target in that youngster. And then defensively, the first two ball games, we struggled to stop people. And then this past game, I thought we played pretty good defense.
All right, Coach, best of luck this Saturday. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
All right, that'll do it for this week's edition of Coach's Corner. As always, you can check us out next week as we recap the Central game and look ahead to that next portion of the CAA schedule. For Bob Ford, I'm Zach Bye. We'll see you next time.